I remember thinking the house felt too formal for a family dinner. Not in an unfriendly way, just structured. The furniture was carefully placed. The dining table already set long before we arrived. The kind of environment where people spoke in turns rather than over each other. My fiancé had warned me his father valued order. Former contractor, he'd said in the car. Old school about things. That didn't bother me. I'd spent most of my adult life around people who valued structure. What I wasn't prepared for was how quickly the conversation turned toward the military. It started casually. His father asked what I did. My fiancé answered before I could. She works with the Marines. That was technically true, just incomplete. His father leaned back slightly, nodding with a thoughtful expression that carried a kind of ownership over the topic. I've worked around military men for decades, he said. Good people. But most civilians don't really understand what the job demands. I nodded politely. Dinner plates arrived. His mother tried steering the conversation toward travel, but his father circled back almost immediately. The discipline, he continued, glancing toward me, that's the part people don't grasp. It's not just uniforms and ranks. It's responsibility. I had heard versions of this conversation before. Usually at conferences, occasionally at airports. People explaining my profession to me without realizing they were doing it. So I listened. My fiancé shifted in his seat once or twice. He knew. His father continued, calm and confident. Leadership in the military. He said, as earned the hard way. Not theoretical, real pressure, real consequences. I watched the way he spoke, not arrogant, exactly. More like someone used to being the most informed voice in the room. There was a pause long enough for someone else to speak. No one did. He turned toward me directly. If you're around Marines, he said, you've probably seen how tough that chain of command can be. Not everyone's built for it. The table grew quieter. In that moment, my mind drifted somewhere else, not emotionally, just automatically, to briefing rooms filled with maps. To early morning calls from deployed units, to the weight of signing orders that affected thousands of lives. None of that existed here. Here, I was just a woman meeting her fiancé's parents for the first time. His father continued, unaware of the distance between his assumptions and reality. Command positions, he added almost thoughtfully, they're not something people just walk into. I saw my fiancé glance at me again. I could have let it go. Dinner would have ended politely. Nothing dramatic would happen. But something about the last sentence sat wrong, not offensive, just final, like the conversation had quietly placed me somewhere small. So I spoke, not loudly, not defensively, just clearly. I agree, I said. Command positions take a long time to reach. His father nodded, satisfied that we finally agreed. Then I finished the sentence. I was appointed Marine General last month. The change in the room wasn't dramatic. There was no gasp, no dropped fork, just stillness. His father blinked once, like someone recalibrating a detail in a story he thought he already understood. I'm sorry, he said slowly. Your rank is Brigadier General, I replied. The words sat quietly on the table between us. My fiancé looked down, trying unsuccessfully to hide a small smile. His father leaned back again, but the posture was different now, not defensive, not embarrassed. Just thoughtful in a way it hadn't been before. For several seconds he didn't speak. Then he asked a question. What command? The tone had changed, not warmer exactly, but careful. I told him. He listened without interrupting. Dinner resumed after that, though the rhythm of the conversation shifted. His father spoke less, asked more questions. Not about proving a point, about understanding something he hadn't expected. No apology came. I hadn't been waiting for one. When we stood to leave later that evening, he walked us to the door. Before we stepped outside, he said something quietly. That level of responsibility, he said, wasn't given lightly. It wasn't an apology, But it was the first sentence that evening that didn't sound like a lecture. And somehow, that was enough.